Welcome to Chasing Curiosity TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. September 17, 2025. The world wakes up to a region simmering with tension, where every headline and every alert signals a new escalation. The South China Sea, long a crossroads of commerce and conflict, is now a flashpoint watched by the world. Its turquoise waters conceal a web of overlapping claims, and every ship that sails here is a statement of intent. On this day, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel, carrying out what should be a routine resupply mission to the grounded BRP Sierra Madre, finds its path blocked by a dozen Chinese maritime militia ships. The standoff is tense, radios crackle with warnings, and the world holds its breath. Overhead, a Chinese J-16 fighter jet roars past at low altitude, its presence a deliberate show of force. The message is unmistakable. China is willing to escalate, and it wants everyone to know. Meanwhile, across the Taiwan Strait, Taiwanese air defense systems spring to life. Radar screens light up as a record number of Chinese aircraft cross the median line, a boundary once respected, now routinely ignored. The skies are crowded, the tension palpable. In Tokyo, the mood is urgent. Emergency meetings convene as Japanese destroyers report increasingly aggressive Chinese maneuvers near the disputed Senkaku Islands. Military officials debate next steps, aware that any miscalculation could have dire consequences. In Seoul, military planners, though their primary focus remains North Korea, are forced to confront China's growing assertiveness in the Yellow Sea. South Korean naval ships are put on heightened alert, and contingency plans are quietly updated. Across the region, China's coordinated military pressure is relentless. Naval fleets move in formation, aircraft conduct synchronized patrols, and cyber operations probe for weaknesses. It's a campaign designed to test resolve, stretch resources, and keep adversaries guessing. What were once isolated incidents, brief confrontations, close calls, have now become a persistent pattern. The timeline of military engagements grows longer, each event building on the last, eroding the sense of normalcy. In Beijing, the message is broadcast loud and clear. The old US-led order in Asia is being challenged. Military parades showcase new hardware, and state media celebrates China's growing power. Yet China stops just short of open conflict. Instead, it uses every tool at its disposal, diplomatic pressure, economic leverage, and military intimidation, to assert its influence and reshape the regional balance. The question is no longer if a crisis will erupt, but when. Diplomats scramble to find off-ramps, while military personnel remain on high alert, ready for any sudden escalation. In capitals across the region, diplomats work around the clock, generals review contingency plans, and ordinary citizens watch the news with growing unease, wondering what tomorrow will bring. The Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea now find themselves on the front line of a new era of competition, each facing unique threats, but all bound by a common challenge. Their individual responses, though determined and resolute, may not be enough to deter a determined adversary acting on multiple fronts. The new question is urgent and clear. Can these nations stand together, forging a united front strong enough to preserve peace and stability in Asia's most volatile waters? The tensions we see in Asia today are not new. They are deeply rooted in a long and often painful history. Wars, colonial ambitions, and unresolved territorial disputes have left scars that still shape the region's politics and people's perceptions. The legacy of foreign invasions, shifting borders, and broken promises continues to echo through generations, making reconciliation difficult and fueling suspicion between neighbors. The Second Sino-Japanese War in particular left a deep wound in China's national memory. The atrocities and suffering endured during that conflict are still taught in schools and remembered in public ceremonies, fueling strong nationalist sentiment. Even today, anti-Japanese protests erupt in China, and historical grievances are invoked in political debates, making it hard for the two countries to move forward. The dispute over the Senkaku or Diaoyu Islands is a prime example of how history is used to justify present-day claims. Both China and Japan point to old maps and treaties, each insisting the islands are rightfully theirs. This territorial flashpoint regularly sparks protests and diplomatic standoffs, keeping tensions high. The split between China and Taiwan after the Chinese Civil War in 1949 remains one of the region's most sensitive issues. Beijing has never renounced the use of force to achieve what it calls reunification, and military parades and maneuvers across the Taiwan Strait serve as constant reminders of the unresolved conflict. In the South China Sea, China's sweeping nine-dash line overlaps with the claims of the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, and others. Despite a 2016 international tribunal ruling against Beijing's expansive claims, China has refused to back down, insisting on its historical rights and continuing to assert control over the area. China has moved beyond making claims on paper. It has built military bases and airstrips on disputed reefs, turning tiny outcrops into fortified islands. Naval patrols and military exercises in these waters have raised the stakes, increasing the risk of confrontation with other claimant nations and outside powers. Even South Korea finds itself entangled in these disputes. Clashes with China over maritime boundaries have led to diplomatic friction, while Beijing's economic pressure on Seoul, especially over its alliance with the United States, has sparked protests and deepened mistrust. As these old wounds remain unhealed and new pressures mount, former rivals across Asia are being forced to reconsider their divisions. In the face of shared challenges and shifting power dynamics, countries are exploring new partnerships and joint military exercises, seeking ways to manage their differences and secure a more stable future for the region. The anxiety in Asia is about more than territory. It's a tension that pulses through daily life, from bustling city streets to the highest levels of government. People sense that something fundamental is shifting beneath their feet. It's about a shifting global order. The balance of power that has defined the region for decades is now in flux, and the world is watching closely as new alliances form and old certainties fade. China's economic rise has transformed into military and diplomatic power, echoing the ancient Thucydides trap, a scenario where a rising power threatens to displace an established one. This isn't just theory, it's playing out in real time, as China's ambitions grow and the United States seeks to maintain its influence. China's neighbors are caught in the middle, forced to navigate a delicate balance between Beijing's assertiveness and Washington's promises of protection. Every diplomatic move is scrutinized, every alliance tested. Beijing's strategy is clear: push the US out of the region, intimidate smaller neighbors, and reshape the Indo-Pacific to fit its vision. Incursions into Taiwan's airspace, harassment of Philippine vessels, and aggressive maneuvers in disputed waters are all part of a broader campaign. Meanwhile, pressure on Japan and other US allies signals that America's security guarantees are being tested like never before. The question is whether these alliances can hold firm under mounting strain. China's military modernization is rapid and relentless. Stealth fighters, aircraft carriers, hypersonic missiles, and advanced cyber tools are all coming online. The pace of change is staggering, and it's altering the region's strategic landscape. For US allies, the fear is not just open conflict, but the possibility of a new order dictated by Beijing, one where their voices are diminished and their autonomy threatened. China's Belt and Road Initiative and so-called wolf warrior diplomacy are expanding its economic and political leverage far beyond Asia, binding countries to Beijing through debt, investment, and influence. For democracies like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, China's rise is more than a strategic challenge. It's a direct test of their values, freedoms, and way of life. The Thucydides trap is no longer just a historical theory, it's a gathering storm on the horizon, threatening to reshape the future of the entire region. As uncertainty grows, the region braces for what comes next, hoping for peace, but preparing for the possibility of conflict in an era when giants clash. China's neighbors are not defenseless. Japan fields a world-class navy, advanced destroyers, and F-35B equipped carriers. Taiwan's porcupine strategy focuses on asymmetric warfare, anti-ship missiles, mobile air defenses, and drones. South Korea's military is large, modern, and battle-tested, with advanced tanks, destroyers, and fighters. The Philippines, though modest in resources, is modernizing, acquiring missile-capable frigates and BrahMos anti-ship missiles. Each nation's strength lies in its unique capabilities and strategic geography. While none can match China alone, together they form a formidable barrier. They're challenged to coordinate and leverage their strengths. The stakes could not be higher. China's goal is clear: transform the plan into a blue-water navy that can project power globally. Massive shipbuilding, new carriers, and advanced destroyers are at the heart of this ambition. The first objective: control the first island chain, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, deterring US intervention. China's anti-access/area denial strategy aims to keep US carriers at bay. Beyond China's carriers and amphibious ships extend reach to the second island chain and Indian Ocean. Overseas bases and a vast maritime militia support this expansion. For regional planners, China's naval rise is a wake-up call. A new maritime superpower is emerging, intent on rewriting Asia's rules. The Western Pacific's island chains define the region's strategy. The first island chain, Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, has long been a US-led barrier against continental powers. For China, it's a wall to break through. Taiwan is the keystone. Control of Taiwan would give China deep water access and threaten the second island chain, including Guam. Guam is America's Pacific stronghold, now targeted by China's long-range missiles. The contest is over control and access to these chains. The Philippines, Taiwan, and Japan are both buffer and target. If the chain breaks, the Indo-Pacific security order collapses. Defending these islands is a global issue. The stakes are nothing less than the region's future. A full NATO-style alliance is unlikely, but a focused maritime security coalition is gaining traction. The first step, intelligence sharing, linking radar, patrols, and satellites for a unified operational picture. Joint naval exercises and Coast Guard patrols would build trust and deter Chinese gray zone tactics. Even limited bilateral agreements like Philippines-Taiwan cooperation in the Bashi Channel could set the stage. Japan and South Korea could support as observers, providing technical and intelligence aid. This flexible framework allows real cooperation without political deadlock. Unity in the gray zone could shift the balance. The battlefield now includes cyberspace and technology. China's cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns target the region's infrastructure and companies. A joint cyber defense platform, sharing threat intelligence, would strengthen digital security. Securing semiconductor and tech supply chains is vital. Joint investment in new foundries and R&D can reduce vulnerability. Collaborative development of next-gen defense tech, drones, satellites, AI, would multiply their strength. Pooling resources and talent ensures a technological edge. In the digital age, tech alliances are as crucial as military ones. Building a collective security arrangement in East Asia is daunting. History, politics, and economic ties to China complicate everything. Taiwan's contested status makes formal alliances tricky, yet China's pressure is forcing a strategic reassessment. Early signs: Japan-Philippines security talks, quiet Taiwan-Japan cooperation, and a growing US-Japan-South Korea partnership. The US role is vital, encouraging networked security and joint exercises. A coalition of these four, backed by the US, would deter Chinese aggression and raise the cost of adventurism. The Indo-Pacific stability and a third of global trade hangs in the balance. The choices made in Tokyo, Seoul, Taipei, and Manila will shape the region's future. Standing alone is no longer an option. Unity is the only path to lasting security.